Every day, more and more road users are filming their journeys, which can often end in disaster. Pioneered by motorists in Russia and Eastern Europe, dashboard-mounted cameras are constantly recording our behavior on the roads. From the bizarre, to the ridiculous, the funny, to the downright dangerous. The thousands and thousands of dashcams around the world have captured just about every mishap you can think of. Now we're going to delve into this treasure trove of stupidity on the roads. Put things right by pointing the finger of blame. Replay the action to see what really happened. And of course, there's nothing like seeing other people's mistakes when it comes to helping us become better drivers. And please remember, on all the clips, yes, that's all the clips we show, no one, and that means no one, is seriously hurt. So drive safely. Not everyone is this lucky. Coming up on this nerve-shredding episode of Car Crash TV, more dastardly driving from all around the world that, had it happened in Britain, would have resulted in the following contraventions of our magnificent highway code. Article 125. The speed limit is the absolute maximum and does not mean it is safe to drive at that speed irrespective of conditions. Article 147. Do not allow yourself to become agitated or involved if someone is behaving badly on the road. This will only make the situation worse. The one about always choosing the right time and place in which to drive at speed and lose control. This wasn't it. And from a life of laughter, my guide to becoming a professional comedian. Chapter 4. The Art of Comic Timing. Car Crash TV always has a wide variety of motor vehicle mishaps to share with you. But one set of clips crops up time and time again. Time and the desire to save some of it being the operative word. That's right, we've got another lineup of fast-lane lunatics for you now as we shake our head in dismay at the smoke left behind by the speeders. When you catch the intoxicating whiff of a steak bake emanating from the local petrol station, it's almost impossible not to put your foot to the floor so you can dive into that meaty goodness post-haste. Speed limits, roadworks, and other motorists be damned. Oh, you idiot, you've overshot the entrance. There'll be no delicious minced hoof, offal, and genitalia for you now. Don't you feel silly? Where's the #1 strip club in town? Just on the left. You can't miss it. Unless, of course, you're this speeder. Another idiot overshoots an entrance, and this one is missing out on a much bigger treat than a steak bake, trust me. Speeders generally suffer from a lack of common sense. Take this chap, for instance. As it's raining, his fellow drivers have adjusted their speed accordingly, but not the speeder, who laughs in the face of surface water. That's it. Pretend you meant to do that high-speed U-turn and soil yourself in the process. Why wouldn't you? The residents of Dubai are now so rich, they've started to build their houses and office blocks out of gold. Yes, it looks impressive. However, when tourists come to visit, they get rather carried away and can't resist trying to nick a couple of bricks to take home as souvenirs. Calm down, chaps. There's plenty to go round. It's clips like these that make me wish I could speak directly to the drivers doing the filming. I mean, he started well, driving at a steady pace, captures the speeder in full flight, along with the moment he gets his comeuppance. Well done. But then, just as we realize this is the thrilling denouement to a high-speed police chase, the idiot turns away. I could have sold that on to police interceptors and made a killing. Think on, viewers. Trips to the adult sauna aren't free, you know. Meanwhile, just outside Moscow, another speeder is lured by the scent of a steak bake. Such was the eagerness for that meaty pocket that he took out the petrol station price sign just to get at it. I'll have a chicken tikka lattice while you're there. Delicious. I'm not even going to pretend to try and understand what happened here. I'm just going to enjoy the warm glow of those street lamps. Magical. As regular viewers of this fine broadcast, I imagine you often find yourself asking the question, how did I come to be the world's leading authority on automotive health and safety? It hasn't been easy. I've studied long and hard to get where I am today, and the rewards are, well, they're pretty meager, if I'm honest. But if you want to emulate my greatness, the first step to doing so is to solve another crash scene investigation. Check out this mess. And I'm not talking about the color of that duster. Though seriously, who actually chooses to buy a turd brown car? Anyway, let's run through our crash scene suspects. Vehicle A, the duster the color of... Vehicle B, the black SUV. And Vehicle C, the white Super Mini sandwiched in between them. Dear stalkers on, people, time to identify the guilty party. Okay, there's the Poo-mobile making its way cautiously up to the junction. And look on the right, a give-way sign, I think. And over there on the left, another one. Could be an important clue. Let's find out. Everyone is understandably confused by the lack of road markings, but we have seen that sign, so Vehicle A is right not to proceed. Ah, there's Vehicle C, definitely not giving way, and right on cue, here comes Vehicle B to punish him for his error. With a bit of luck, Vehicle A is a write-off, and the driver can make a better choice when he chooses the color of its replacement. The last time I saw a poo brown duster was when I tried to clean the toilet with the wrong cloth. Vans and their drivers have a pretty bad rep. But is that bad rep justified? Well, yes. Yes, it is. Just look at these clips we're exposing you to right now. Crash after crash after crash, and all caused by the reckless road use of these oversized metal menaces. This sort of behavior, it's downright vicious. And now, for your viewing pleasure, an automotive reenactment of the human centipede. Much less disturbing and a lot easier to clean up. Continuing the film theme, here we have a latest entry to the Herbie franchise, Herbie Goes Rogue. Due to budget constraints, Herbie no longer takes the form of a classic VW Beetle. He's still driving himself, though, and still getting involved in all sorts of playful shenanigans. Oh, Herbie. What's that? You've run out of film references? Well, what the hell am I supposed to say about this? Well, you're the bloody writer. Fine. Here's a tram crashing into a van. You happy now? Oh, look, it's one of those small vans. To be honest, I don't really see the point. If you're going to go van, go full van. No half measures on this show. So when we see a small van, we give it a little spank on the behind. Naughty little van. And charge! Luton van jousting. Great sport. They do have such larks in Luton. While just up the M1 in Dunstable, they play van tag. And Dunstable finds itself overshadowed by the great town of Luton once more. What's that? The small vans have heard my earlier diss and are out to get me? Well, I'm not scared. I've taken on larders and everything. Bring it on! Ah! I was wrong. I was immediately wrong. Seriously, they're out to get me. Nowhere is safe. Quick, behind that tree. Just call me Mr. Invisible. Coming up later on Car Crash TV, we find out how you go about subjugating the snow. Examine some truly awful overtaking. And get to feel all smug and self-righteous in the blame game. But first, what a lovely festive scene. Almost good enough for a Christmas card. Alas, things are about to get a lot less merry. Question is, what happens next? It's barking. Welcome back to Car Crash TV. So what did happen next? Well, as you can imagine, I've read the highway code from cover to cover, but I've never discovered who has the right-of-way between a car and a husky pulling a sledge. The car. I thought so. Car Crash TV. Entertaining and educational. You're welcome. Over the years, we've delivered you hours of high-quality, award-worthy television featuring the best dashcam clips from around the world. In return, and much to our surprise, you've tuned in your thousands. So, as a little thank you, we're going to do something a bit radical now. We're ditching the dash cams and switching to the spy cams. Yes, for one night only, this is CCTV on CCTV. Mind blown. And to kick us off, it's a Car Crash TV CCTV Yorkshire Parking Bulletin Special Report. Jeff.
Thanks, lad. Welcome to Sheffield, lads and lassies, where we're about to witness a truly magical moment. And no, I'm not talking about this exquisite piece of parking. No, it's a textbook way this Yorkshire woman dishes out some rough justice to one of them god-awful cyclists. Champion, that lass. Jeff Bird, signing off.
Thanks, Jeff. The good thing about these CCTV clips is that they give you so much coverage of an accident that you can pinpoint the exact moment an arrogant twerp in an expensive German car decides the rules don't apply to him. So satisfying. I love this clip. Not the crash, no. It's the way the perpetrator, on seeing his pursuer's choice of footwear, decides to flee the scene. Catching a hit-and-run felon is hard, but trying to catch them in flip-flops is nigh on impossible. Look at the size of that junction. It's a whopper. No, wait, it's a fisheye lens. Sorry. Still getting to grips with this newfangled technology. And I assume that guy has a fisheye windscreen. He must have thought that gap was bigger. Uh-oh, larder alert. What's it going to do? Look at it, primed, beige, and ready to pounce. Anything, and I mean anything, could happen in the next few seconds. These small beasts are wildly unpredictable. Oh, the tram took out the telegraph pole. Not what I was expecting. Some serious questions need to be asked of the town planner, not to mention that man who bought those sandals. Just horrible. The garden centre, the perfect place to spend a Sunday afternoon purchasing cheap tat and enjoying a cream tea. Be careful, all the clotted cream doesn't make you sleepy, though. I'm waiting. Oh, worth the wait. Bravo. An iced finger for whichever member of the research team found that one. The driver survived with just his dignity damaged. Look, he's so embarrassed he's soiled himself. Keep an eye on this cyclist and the woman in pink. The cyclist, because of this. And the woman, for the way she thinks about going to help the stricken biker, then ultimately decides she couldn't give a... No one likes to be blamed for anything, but if you've been a naughty boy or gal, the right and proper thing to do is to hold your hand up and admit culpability. And were we living in a perfect world where every member of society was a good, upstanding citizen, then this would happen. But we don't. So it doesn't. So let's blame game. Yes, and our first cab off the rank sees our driver in a hurry to get to the Is Hotel, one of the finest in downtown Gdansk, to offer rooms by the hour. But does his haste mean he's the one at fault for this imminent incident? Well, if we wind back a smidge, you'll see that light is green, which means blame to the silly sausage in the Skoda. Now, make sure you've got plenty of €1 coins for that vibrating bed, worth every cent. I'm not going to lie to you, this one's easy. There's a massive clue on the screen right now, and it's counting down, so this really isn't much of a challenge at all. But I guess we should go through the motions. So who's at fault for this pending crossroad calamity? Well, if we wind back ever so slightly, there's the green light and the timer, so it's blame to the black car who's just done the twist, and bonus blame to the taxi who was lucky to come away unscathed. Nice tram there on the left, a little treat for the tram fetishists watching. Hope you're well, Keith and Neil, but the tram is innocent in this scenario. That silver car, not so much. If we wind back, another green light, so another light jumper in need of some rough justice. Blame! This is a murky old scene. You need to adjust the aperture in your dash cam, mate. But as this isn't Skype and you can't hear me, I guess we'll have to make do. Ah, there's the evidence we require. You can just make out a red, which means the driver of the car we're on board has jumped the light. So it's blame this way, you massive prat. And now's really not the time for a cigarette. That's your lot, folks, so be on your way. I'll see you again soon for more Blame Game. I see Car Crash TV as very much being the fourth emergency service. Not that I'm saying you should call us if you're involved in any sort of accident. We can barely make a TV program, so I dread to think how we'd fare when faced with offering critical life support. We do, however, try to use this broadcast as a way to educate the masses. But until the entire nation comes to its senses and tunes in, there will always be an emergency on planet Earth. Emergency personnel can be relied upon for a variety of different services, putting out fires, chasing down speeders, and transporting the ill and injured to a hospital. But it's a little-known fact that they're also staunch environmentalists, determined to rid our roads of old and inefficient vehicles. Look at the way this ambulance takes out an aging Astra, cheaper than a scrappage scheme too. This is a confusing section of road, clearly marked for a bus, and yet tracks have been laid for a tram. So whose lane is it anyway? We clearly need the help of an emergency service to sort out this conundrum. No, that hasn't helped either. I can't decide who's having the worst day here. The driver of the car we're on board, who collides with the police car, or the driver of the taxi who blatantly cuts across the front of it. Either way, I imagine our boy in blue will be meeting his daily arrest quota. If you hear the familiar sound of an emergency vehicle siren, it's best just to calmly back up and give it some space. That woman has the right idea. The driver of that car did not. However, if said emergency vehicle is one of the larger examples, say a fire engine, whatever you do won't really hamper its progress. But it might mean you have to call a different emergency service to tow your car away. And now a game of peekaboo between a fire truck and a motorcyclist. Boo! The fire truck wins. Maybe you should think about playing with kids your own age. And finally, want to see a car crash that perfectly sums up the concept of bad luck? You're welcome. Last series, I made the mistake of inviting my mentor, the health and safety guru, Keith Jones, onto the show to offer his expertise and advice on how to tame the turn. Sadly, he did a bang-up job, so our producers are keen to bring him back this year for more of his sage-like advice. Naturally, I resisted, but after losing a lengthy and expensive court case, I was forced to relent. So, much to my dismay, here's Keith and his advice on subjugating the snow. Strap in, everyone.
Step 1. If a snowplough has had the common decency to clear the road in front of you, the polite thing to do is to be patient and let them proceed with their work. To overtake would be rude, and the driver of this one clearly agrees with me.
God, you're so righteous, Keith.
Step 2. Driving on snow at night should be avoided at all costs. Only use your vehicle if your journey is vital. A vital journey will be a medical emergency or evacuation.
What about if I've run out of fags, Keith? That vital enough for you?
Step 3. Overtaking on a snow-covered road is frowned upon. And while I applaud your motives in trying to educate that white van, I must remind you that 2 wrongs don't make a right. Remember, the best way to learn is by first failing.
I warned you this would be dull. No one listens to me.
Step 4. Despite my best efforts and the publication of numerous leaflets, my campaign to have street lights on every road has been unsuccessful. Such unilluminated streets should be avoided when there's a light sprinkling of the white stuff.
Don't try and be flippant, Keith. It doesn't suit you.
Step 5. On snow-covered roads, ensure you only accelerate gently.
Hardly a revelation. Everyone knows that.
I repeat, on snow-covered roads, ensure you only accelerate gently.
You smug.
Step 6. When the snow has cleared, remain cautious. Temperatures are still low and the black ice may linger on the tarmac.
You just want to ruin everyone's fun, don't you, Keith?
Step 7. In particularly harsh environments, switching to snow tyres is encouraged to offer you greater traction on the road, especially when turning.
Yes, Keith, because we're all made of money and can afford 2 sets of tyres. Can you hear yourself? You disgust me.
Join me next time when we'll learn all about judging the junction.
I can't wait. The humble automobile was created to allow us the luxury of getting from point A to point B that little bit quicker. And for a while, everyone was happy with that. But there's always someone who isn't satisfied with the status quo and has to go ahead and ruin it for everyone. They want it bigger, faster, harder, stronger. And no, I'm not talking about my ex-wife. I'm talking about those drivers who like to indulge in some awful overtaking. Awful overtaking, the basics. Okay, so it's been snowing. The plough has not been out, and that's a ruddy great big juggernaut. Optimum conditions for some truly awful overtaking, methinks. Yep, dreadful. Well done. Of course, where you have overtakers, you will inevitably have undertakers too. Now, these are some of the worst human beings on the planet. Worse even than taxi drivers. Yes, I know, that bad. Fortunately, in this charming part of the world, they have a way of dealing with such people. It's not exactly orthodox, and they do say two wrongs don't make a right. However, lorry driver, I salute you. Ever wondered what your wing mirror's for? Of course you haven't. It's obvious what it's for, so you can check to the side and rear of your vehicle before performing an overtaking maneuver. Clearly, this guy didn't get the memo. It's annoying, isn't it, when you realize it's grey bin day and you put out the black one instead. However, if you're going to go home to rectify the error, wait for an appropriate place to perform your U-turn. It's equally annoying when you find yourself about to walk into someone and you both course correct to the same direction. Well, this is the extreme version of that scenario. Of course, if the build-up of traffic makes it impossible to overtake, then it's important to observe patience. Unless, of course, you've been caught short, or there's a baby on the way, in which case anything goes. Getting your upholstery cleaned is an expensive job after all. Remember earlier when I said how much I hate undertakers? Imagine my joy when our research team unearthed this clip. It was ice fingers all round. I'm good to them. The dual carriageway was created to aid overtaking. But if you find yourself on a single carriageway, well, just improvise.